Which unlimited cards are good investments? Welcome to the Solemn YuGiOh channel where we discuss everything collecting and investing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, this is a controversial one. I sometimes talk about, okay, I'm not buying Unlim. First edition is where it's at. And that's true, but that is a general rule. It's just a quick, easy way to look at a situation. And then you have people going, no, because there's this Unlim and you're wrong and blah, blah, blah. And I get that. So today we are going to be talking about the potentially good buys in unlimited cards. Now I do want to start off by saying a big word of caution. Be aware that if you are entering that unlimited market, you are taking on more risk by default. And again, I'm no financial advisor. If you need financial advice, go to a financial advisor. Also, we have shirts for that now. Even if I agree certain unlimited cards do have potential, you are taking on more risk. Why? The people with deep pockets want the first editions. The people with deep pockets want the very best. A majority of the premium will forever go towards the best. An Unlim is not that. However, that doesn't mean there's no opportunity there. But you are dealing with the second or third or fourth or fifth best thing. And that's a level of risk you have to accept. Now also be aware that when we talk about Unlim, I'm not talking about Toon Chaos Unlim. We are talking about the older school market. Obviously, when you're going to modern collector's cards, the first sets are still plenty affordable. If you're gonna go for the fifth best thing within the sixth best thing, like that's just asking for trouble. And we already saw this, Toon Chaos Unlim collectors where it's got destroyed. Be aware that's even more risk on risk on risk. That doesn't mean there's no money to be made, but you're taking on more and more and more and more risk. If you can deal with that, cool, maybe you can do something with that. But so going back to the older Unlim, the obvious first one would be buying unlimited old cards that are actually old. We've covered this on the channel before, but a lot of old school unlimited cards were actually printed in 2010, 2014, maybe 2017. No one even knows when some of these are still being printed. But there's plenty of Walmart reprints still out there of various old school cards that aren't old school. If you are targeting the old school collectors market, they want the older cards. So maybe there is opportunity in buying actual old school unlimited. I actually have a video on this with Gezi TCG already. You can check that out where we go over the differences between the various unlims so you can actually figure out, hey, this unlim card, is it an old one or is it a new one? However, again, you are taking on more risk here because quite some people don't see the difference. And now you could say, oh, but true collectors do, and that's true. But you are still shaving off a big part of your target audience. Obvious shit is obvious. If you can prove that you have old school unlims, those should get a premium over the new school unlims. If you feel that that market is still underappreciated, maybe there's something there you can do. However, I would argue that what's way more easy is going for the old school unlims that are not being new school reprinted. What am I talking about? Something like a Magic Ruler. Some people claim that, Wizards had this lawsuit with the Konami or Upper Deck back in the day, and so MRL, Magic Ruler, was no longer allowed, so they changed it into Spell Ruler, so this means the MRL, Magic Ruler, isn't being reprinted anymore. So this might mean that MRL unlimited cards are actually underpriced. Beyond that, if you have Magic cards from back in the day, let's say a Magic Monster Reborn, but that's unlimited, well, since they no longer reprint Magic Monster Reborn, maybe that is still an option, You can justifiably prove to anyone, not just the true collectors who see the difference, you can show anyone, hey, look, this card says Magic card, so therefore it's not a reprint. You can go the same with your Dark Hole or your Raigeki. And so, when certain collectors get priced out of the first edition Monster Reborn, PSA whatever, or the first edition Raigeki, PSA whatever, they might just want to go for the Unlim version, which is still cheaper, but at least it says the word Magic card, so they know, okay, this is not a reprint. That kind of peace of mind that they don't have to figure out which is which can add a premium. But again, you're adding a little level of risk because the people with the deeper pockets, they just go whatever and go for the first dead. Now beyond that, you also have certain packs that were not reprinted en masse for the Walmarts and so forth. Something like Magician's Force. As far as I'm aware, there has not been an English Magician's Force reprint in Unlimited. So if you have an Unlimited Dark Magician Girl, MFC 000, this is from back then because we never got a Walmart reprint. However, that does also have a risk, because who knows, Konami doesn't go next year, hey, here's the Spellbook Magicians Pact reprint legendary nostalgia collection number volume 20. Who says they don't do something like that, where you get a fancy version of Dark Magician and a fancy version of Dark Paladin and a fancy version of Dark Magician Girl with 5 reprint Magician's Force packs? They could. If they are to make such a product, it will likely have reprint Magician's Force in that. They've already proven that they aren't shy of reprinting Unlim Old School packs. And so, who knows? At this point, that level of uncertainty, well, it still seeps in. And because right now, MFC, for example, was never reprinted, maybe that lack of uncertainty is already priced in. Maybe some people know, oh, Unlim was never reprinted, so I'm willing to pay a premium. However, what if they then do? Will the cards then go down? I don't know. Honestly, again, no one can predict the future, but you have to be mindful of these things. Another interesting one is the starter decks. You know, we have seen quite some rises on prices like Blue Eyes Unlim from SDK, Dark Magician Unlim from SDY. And the thinking here, of course, is, hey, this is Unlim, so okay, it's not first edition. However, starter decks were never reprinted. We never had a legendary collection volume 69 with all the starter decks in it. Therefore, when I buy this Unlimited Dark Magician or Blue Eyes from back then, I am sure that this card is from back then. And that is true. For now, you can be sure. And that may be good opportunity. Once again, maybe these are underpriced. But on the flip side, I would say almost everyone has these. They were mostly destroyed by kids, that's true. But the Unlims were extremely overprinted. Whenever someone is selling their collection from back in the day, they show their beat up binder. Guys, want to sell this? What do they have? I guarantee you, there's some Unlim Red Eyes, an Unlim Blue Eyes, an Unlim Dark Magician in that binder, all beat up. But you know, if someone actually took good care of them, there's constantly versions of this coming to the market. I kinda want to look at it the same way as a base set Unlim from Pokemon that was also overprinted. And now, of course, that pop report is more fleshed out because in 2016 we already saw a PSA grading craze essentially in Pokemon because of Pokemon Go. We have seen that now in Yu-Gi-Oh! So we will see quite some pop reports being fleshed out. And I have a feeling that as we see the demand for these Unlim starter decks go up, that pop report will start to explode. But that's just my take, you know. However, with that being said, right now it hasn't been reprinted yet. So right now you can still be certain like, okay, I want to own an old school Blue Eyes. I want to own an old school Dark Magician, Red Eyes Relinquished. The starter decks may be it. You know, this is old. But again, who knows? Maybe Konami sees, oh, the collector's market is on fire. We've already made collector's rares and we've brought back ghost rares and we have starlight rares. We really gotta milk this collector's market. What if I have a genius idea? What if we make starter deck collection nostalgia volume 420? Boom, there you go. You get your starter deck reprints and the ball starts rolling again. Now, of course, on the sealed pack, you could probably see whether you have an old one or not, depending on logos and trademarks and all of that. But once the cards are out, maybe you won't. Now again, maybe you will. People can probably figure it out, maybe the letter spacing is slightly off, but once again, you enter into that cycle of uncertainty. Regardless, for now, they're definitely safer than the ones that you already know of, that they were reprinted. Another batch of Unlims that actually fascinates me is the GOAT format staples. I recently got into GOAT format, and I noticed, hey, you know, there's some of these power cards that I really want in foil. Let's say a Delinquent Duo. Since I wanted my Delinquent Duo in Ultra Rare, I was forced to buy a modern day SRL Delinquent Duo for like what, 20 bucks? So that's interesting to me. I feel that if people are trying to max their GOAT format decks and a lot of these cards only have their highest forms in the old school reprints, that may be something. Or maybe some people just want only the highest rarity of the old school printings in their decks. Maybe they have that nostalgia toward that card in that art with that set number, with that foiling, and so they may want the Unlim to bling out their deck and still have that old school Yu-Gi-Oh feeling. That's a possibility. Now, that is also a bit more risky because who knows, maybe they'll print Delinquent Duo in that same foiling again and again and again, and that may put downwards pressure on the price. But for now, I find that fascinating. I think GOAT isn't as popular right now as it has been, but I feel given the big nostalgia boom we have seen in these collectibles, it's very likely that people like me, who are into collecting now look forward to actually playing some GOAT again because they got that nostalgia buff and now want to get into that format. And so it's very possible we'll see some demand for GOAT, and that's where I think you will be able to see some growth in some of these cards. But again, you're entering quite a bit more speculative territory. Which leads us to the final one. The ones you already know of that they were reprinted. For the past days, weeks, we have seen these rise like crazy. There are people who just want to open their old school favorite stuff, and so these packs are being opened, and some people just want to see their cards again from back in the day, and so they just buy it up, and that then attracts speculators who go, hey, wait a second, people want the old Unlim that's not actually old, you know what, I'll buy it out. And so we have seen buyouts on these that really pushed up the prices. So now someone can say, hey, see, it was a good investment all along. I'll buy the Blue Eyes at 1,000 because it'll only go up from here. Well, if you want to do that, go ahead. Again, maybe it pays off, maybe it doesn't. It just depends on how willing you are to take on risk. And I'm personally not willing to take on such risk when the whole cardboard market as a whole is already very speculative. So that's all. Hope you find this interesting. I just wanted to cover the entire Unlim market. Personally, I am still targeting first editions above all this. I feel a lot of first editions are still extremely undervalued. Maybe not in the short term, maybe stuff will retrace or go down a little, or maybe it'll keep going up, who knows. But in the long term, I feel a lot of these first edition cards are so cheap, so fucking cheap. But we'll get to that in a future video. If you want to get speculative on these, I went over my thoughts on them. I hope you found this enjoyable or helpful. Like, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.